Hello and welcome to week 4. This time we're going to talk a little bit about primary sources. As you noticed in your reading for this week, we're looking at primary sources, secondary sources, evaluating sources. All of this is an important aspect of researching. All right, so primary sources are texts that come directly from the event or particular time period, for example. They can be a wide range of texts, but ultimately they are direct observations or survey responses, tweets. They can be original scholarly research, but ultimately they are, a first run, a direct correlation to that event. It hasn't been evaluated, interpreted, or analyzed by anybody else. It's coming from the source himself, herself, or in some cases, a group. All right, so like I said, it hasn't been critiqued or interpreted or analyzed yet, but ultimately we can see it in things like newspapers, magazines, and websites, but we can also see it in scholarly journals. So an example of a popular source would be something like data that's been collected and reported out from the journalist, but hasn't been interpreted again or analyzed or even looked at by anybody else. This is just, first run data. So go, for example, if you did a survey for your topic for this semester and you reported out percentages or have bar graphs or charts of any kind, that would be that would be an example of primary research. And then if you published it, for example, on a website, that would be considered primary research used in a popular source. On the flip side, if a researcher, maybe an academic of some kind, let's say a professor, does a study and publishes not only the methodology, but the analysis of that data, as well as the interpretation of those findings. But it's all coming from that one professor, and it's published in a scholarly journal. That's still considered primary research. Again, no one else has looked at it, analyzed it, interpreted it, critiqued it in any way yet. All right, so where can primary sources be found? Of course, as we've kind of been alluding to, things like surveys, speeches, blog posts, journals. We can also see it in that scholarly research, like I just said, in a journal article. You might see photos or videos, sound recordings, artwork like paintings, sculptures, poems, and it can be government documents as well. But ultimately, as a researcher, you are a researcher this semester, and you will continue to be as you move through college. But when you're evaluating either kind of source, primary or secondary, you want to think about, how does the author know these details? Was the author present at the event? Were on the scene in some way? Where does the information come from? Is it personal experience, eyewitness accounts, reports written by others? Are the author's conclusions based on a single piece of evidence, or have many sources been taken into account? And so ultimately, when you're looking at it, you're trying to tease out any biases. You're trying to build by looking at and evaluating your own sources. You're building your own credibility. So you're looking at the credibility of the source, but as you use that source, that enhances your ethos, your own credibility. And then finally, questions that you might want to ask yourself as a researcher are, what kinds of primary sources would be useful to my research project? Why? Where can I find them? Am I more interested in popular primary sources or scholarly primary sources? Not only why as far as interest goes, but what fits with the purpose of your research and your audience for that research paper, that research report, whatever it is that you're working on. So that hopefully gives you a little bit of an idea about primary research and those primary sources. And then, like I said, you've got a little bit of information to consider on those secondary sources as well. And always, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out.